Yeah, I can always stuff them somewhere, right? Hey guys, welcome to Wild Hope Homestead. It's Friday today, it's a teacher only day today and Tuesday, and then it's a public holiday on Monday, so Angus has got a 5-day weekend, Steve's got a 3-day weekend. I've got a lot of gardening to do and also chicks hatching, so we've had 11 chicks hatch so far, which is good. And I'm just dealing with some seedlings at the moment and pumpkin and squash seeds from the hot water cupboard. Some of my pumpkins and squash seeds didn't do very well the first round. Things are looking pretty mouldy in here. But I'm going to have a look. So I started more of these 2 varieties and I'll have a look at those in a minute. This was the pumpkin Muskie de Provence, I don't know if I'm saying that right, probably not, and the butternut squash from our saved seeds, so those ones were a bit older though. Let's have a look. Okay, I can't promise this isn't gonna be gross. This is what happens when they sit too long in the wet. Whoopsies, I just pulled that bit up. And are having trouble growing. Okay, that one's growing a root, good. One of the muskies. So I can pot that one up. The other one is just a bit mouldy. Actually, it's not terrible. I think the next lot are going to be worse. Let's have a look at these butternuts, because I can see purple colours in here, which is really not good. This is so gross. Ew. Yep, I can't see any roots in there. I'm just gonna biff those. I don't even want to have a look at those. I mean, they may end up growing in the compost, but yep. This is the second lot that I started of both, and the muskies, it looks like 2 of them have got roots. At least stuff isn't mouldy. The butternuts are being slow, which they can be a little bit slow sometimes, which is hard to manage with the mould, but we'll see how we go. Oh yep, oh crikey, that one's shooting away. Look at that dude. This one here has got lovely big roots, so we'll have plenty of those pumpkins. I'll get those potted up. I've never felt like hugging a bag of potting mix before, but after all the trouble with the sooo seed mix seedlings, my Dalton seed mix, there's a lot of love for that right now. So glad I have some of this in. So let's have a little look at the fate of the seedlings that were planted in the dud sooo organic seed mix. The lettuces that were planted in the 6 cell packs, I've just pulled them all out, and Angus has tipped out the seed mix into the herb garden for me. These hardly grew from when I potted them up. I mean, the leaves have gotten a bit long and stretched out, but they just look horribly pale and just not good at all. There's these ones over here, everything needs something, need a bit of a water, but these ones were planted in the Dalton's organic seed mix, and you can tell they just look a whole lot better. Nice bright colours, fat leaves, not super stretched or pale. They just look like nice healthy seedlings. These calendulas.
Healthy seedlings.
No, they look like things struggling to survive because they are.
They look like things that have had poop tipped on them.
Well, poop might have helped them actually more than the seedling. These calendulas were planted in the tui mix. So everything is in the tui mix, and some of these little lettuces too, which I haven't gotten to prick out yet. Fortunately, we've had heaps of lettuces, so that wasn't too much of a loss. Those ones were supposed to be for Angus's school though. All these puny looking tomatoes are in the tui seed mix, and I have fed them with a Folia Organics liquid feed, but I think I haven't fed them enough. I was a bit scared of overdoing it, but I honestly probably can't overdo it with them, so I'm going to give them another feed with that.
Those big tomatoes look good. They must be in the Daltons.
Yes, they are in the Daltons, and I think those are the gherkins down there.
And
Celery, those are fine, those are in the Daltons.
Are the big ones there?
And the
in
peppers,
the
I need to
Daltons?
get those potted up pronto as well. Right, so I'm going to prick out and pot up the pepper varieties one by one. Ideally that would have been done sooner, but here we are. This is Encho. I restarted some because the first ones weren't doing very well, and apparently they were just slow, so now I have heaps of Encho, which I don't know. I think this is the first time I've grown that, so I don't know how well we'll like it, but we'll see. I might have a lot of peppers, but yeah, I can always stuff them somewhere, right? There's always somewhere you can stuff more vegetables. So we've got 15 ancho peppers. Few big roots on here. Yeah. Trouble filling these in. I really need bigger holes. These are definitely ready to get potted up. got 6 Alma paprika peppers, which is a shame because a few of them got mouldy from overwatering. I should have moved them away from the other ones that were getting a bit dry, but I didn't, so I lost a few of them. And now we're on to Burpee's thick-walled pepper, which is also a paprika pepper. We've got a couple of aphids on one of those. That was not what I was expecting. We've got 7 of those. Next is mulatto, which is similar to ancho. I'm not sure why I ended up with both of them, but I did. Anyway, I've got 13 of these, but 2 of them look a little bit thin, so I probably won't pop those up. Plus I don't need anywhere near that many. It's actually easier to get the seedlings out when they're dry, even though it's not great, but if they're slightly on the dry side, they're easier to separate. Oh, you can wait over there. Oh, you're a big dude. Well, actually that's going to fall off. Oops. She might fit in here. No. So they don't fit in the hole. I just tip a bit out and plant it on an angle. And then right it to the middle and top up the pot again. And I'm not planting these deep like the tomatoes. That's not advantageous for the peppers to plant them deep. You guys are probably going to get sick of watching me potting up seedlings, but that's what I've got a lot to do of at the moment, so I thought maybe I'd do some story time while I work away at this. So if you have any ideas of what you want me to tell stories about, let me know in the comments. But maybe I'll just start with a little bit of background about me and what I used to do before I started doing this crazy homesteading thing. After high school I worked for half a year, and then I went to university. I studied a Bachelor of Social Sciences with a double major in psychology and sociology. I really liked psychology. There are a few areas that I was quite interested in. The main one was animal behaviour, but that is a very small field in New Zealand, this kind of thing where there's only like a few jobs, a few positions available. And I was a little bit interested in neuropsychology, but I really just didn't quite know what I wanted to do. You sort of needed to do further study if you wanted to specialise in something. And I just didn't really want to get cornered into something or stuck in a field, because if you study and work in something quite specific, then you're kind of glued to that. And I guess I didn't like the idea of being glued to anything, and that's one of the reasons I love homesteading so much, is because there's such a variety of things to do. so many interests and so many skills, raising animals, gardening, growing plants, building things, cooking and preserving food, crafty things. I'm never bored because there's always something more to learn and something more to do. There's so many interesting things. I can have my fingers in lots of different pies, and I like having my fingers in lots of different pies. So I did a few kind of jobs, and then we moved to Christchurch, Steve and I, and I did a couple of things down there and still wasn't quite sure what I really wanted to do, and I ended up doing a diploma in horticulture at Lincoln University, which is kind of a land-based university. A lot of like farming type things and horticulture, and so it was really cool going there, and it was just more of a relaxed kind of down home feel, and really enjoyed well, I guess kind of what led into that is because I ended up, I picked up, we had a house, and after work I'd come home and I could just spend ages pottering around, growing plants, potting up plants. I had a little veggie garden, and I started growing some plants to sell as well. I really liked studying about horticulture, and then I did work after that, did work in some nurseries, a cucumber farm, which my back has never been the same since, and some nursery work. I really enjoyed working in some nurseries, although that was very hard on the body, some of the particular nursery jobs. And then we had the earthquakes and everything down there, so next is red bell peppers, and we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. One's a little bit small, so I'll have a look at that and see what its roots are like. And then we had the Christchurch or Canterbury earthquakes, and I was dealing with some big injury issues, and also it was suddenly hard to find jobs and things. It was a lot of uncertainty going on, and I ended up working as a support worker for clients with intellectual disabilities. That was something that, it's not the sort of thing I could imagine doing now, but at the time, I think God really gave me a sense of empathy towards people through what I'd been through with my injuries and things, and it was just the right job for me to be doing at the time. It really was. And then we moved back up here to be close to our family, to start a family, and I carried that job on for a wee while, and then did some more admin work with a really cool team, and while I was pregnant with Angus. And then once I finished that, I was home with Angus and then Scarlett, and sort of went through a patch of looking for part-time work after Angus was a few years old, and just really trying to figure out what I was going to do, and spending a lot of time praying about it and talking to God about it. And through that time he showed me that he actually wanted me to be here at home, and it was just a really cool time of discovering dreams for the future and with God, and just being able to take homesteading to the next level. Being just carrying on growing food and raising chickens, having the time to make good food for my family, which has become, I guess, more of an important thing through everything that's gone on in the world in the last few years. And yes, there's plenty more exciting things to come for the future. Next up is shishito. We didn't get any fruit off them last year. Last year was the first time I grew them. And last year it was very wet and rainy and the peppers did not do very well at all. So we'll try these again. We've got 8 of them, so that's a good start, right? So my journey into homesteading was kind of, a slow start. I guess it goes back to, as a kid, I always wanted to live on a farm, and that was something that always was a desire that continued on. No matter what I did for a job, I really just wanted to end up on a farm. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a cowgirl. Some of the things that were the starting point for my homesteading journey were, I guess, starting to grow a few veggies. When we lived in Hamilton, we only had like a very small patch where I grew a few lettuces in a trough and a few herbs. When we went down to Christchurch and got a garden that had like a little veggie garden area, that was when the veggie gardening really started. The other thing that was going on around that time was I was discovering that I had issues with milk, like lactose intolerance. So I had to start reading labels of everything, and I guess slowly along the way of realising how many products had milk in them, I also started paying attention to all the bad stuff that was in bought food, and that was all part of the journey. And then I think one of the main things that really inspired me towards the homesteading life was watching River Cottage by Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall. This was back in when was it? 2012? So it was a wee while ago now, but it was kind of something that was a bit before its time, really. He did a series about moving from the city out to the country to his own small holding, they call it over there. And I just really liked the way of life, and how it wasn't just about having a farm. He treated the animals well and with respect, and used all the different parts that he could for them, and he foraged stuff. And I liked the way that he was able to think about things to make with just what he found or what he had on hand. He could sort of look around and be like, oh, what can I make with these things, which is something that I couldn't do at all back then. Now I do that all the time. I just make stuff up or use what I've got, more than making stuff from a recipe, that's for sure. So that was a really big inspiration for me. I started making our own bread, first in the oven, and then we got a bread maker, and there were just lots of little things along the way that I started doing, and started learning more about growing our own food and eating more natural whole foods. And by the time we moved back to Hamilton, I really wanted to live in the country, and we were fortunately able to buy this place out here. I guess things really spiraled from there into the chickens, and out here is where I learnt to build things. I'm still not that much of a great builder, but I can make stuff myself instead of just waiting for Steve to do it or expecting him to know how to build stuff because he's a man. I just started doing stuff myself. And I've learned a whole lot of stuff about other animals and different things that I can use for the future as well. I'm sure there's probably more to the story, but that's plenty for now. Next we've got Sweet Jimmy Nardello, which is a new one I'm trying. And we've got 7 of those, although one looks like it has a very curly stem, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. I started learning about more natural skin products and using more natural organic products on my skin and my hair, and somewhere along the way started making my own, or some of my own at least, cleaning products, household cleaning products. And there are just many pieces of the homesteading puzzle that slowly came together over time. If you've done the Gallup Strengths Finder, which is kind of like a personality test, but really the best kind of one I've done, that doesn't just put you into one of a few categories, it actually tells you the top 5 strengths that you have, which really describe kind of who you are and what drives you and the way you work. One of my top strengths, or I think the top strength, was learner. I like to learn things, and it kind of explains why I never wanted to get stuck in just one particular job field, or why I've always been interested in lots and lots of different things. And sometimes I start doing things and then they become, quite a focus, and then that kind of peters off for a while, or I find something else more interesting. It's not because I get bored of things or have trouble with attention or anything. It's because I like to learn different things, and then I like to, kind of master that skill or that thing to some extent. And then when I feel like I've done enough of that, or when I find something that looks more interesting, then I give a lot of attention to that new thing, because it's something exciting that I want to learn about. So that's kind of a part of how I work. I mean, I often come back to things. Sometimes it's also a matter of season in life, like having a small child and limited time. Plants and gardening is one thing that I always keep going with, because it's really one of my favourite things. And having animals too. This is the Sweet Jimmy Nardello pepper that has an interesting curly bit in it. I mean, it looks pretty cool, but the stem, it's not going to be a very good plant with the stem that curled. It's obviously just come out of its seed a little bit funny. So even though like the leaves and everything look perfectly healthy, it's not going to be a strong plant, so I'm not going to bother potting that one up. I mean, think about what happens when that stem gets bigger. What's it going to do? It's either going to break or have a problem. Hello!
Did you wake up?
Yeah, I'm very tired.
The big snooze.
Our last variety of pepper is Tollis, which is a red conical shaped pepper, quite a good one for eating. and it grows quite well, so, and produces quite a lot of fruit. So we've got 7 there. One looks a little bit small, and unfortunately a few of them got mouldy from overwatering as well. I think those were next to the other ones. Obviously just in a bad drainage patch of the tree probably. So I'll get those potted up. Whoops. Dumped way too much seed mix on that one. Sorry. Well, that's probably more than you wanted to know about me. But anywho, I have finished my pepper seedlings. There was a lot of peppers, but it's good to have those done. So we got all the peppers into the cold frame, giving them a water, so hopefully they'll pick up soon. And I think that's the main last thing we needed to prepare. It's day 2 of hatching, and we've had 13 chicks hatch so far. We've got a bit of an odd situation going on here. I've never had this before, I don't think. The chick is hatching. It's got most of the top of the egg off, but its beak is nowhere in sight. So it's sort of got one wing up the top there and then one wing down the bottom. It's obviously been strong enough to push most of the top of the egg off, but it's not completely separated. And I don't know where its head is, or its beak. Must be a bit mal-positioned. It's got the right end of the egg, the top that's coming off. So I'm just going to keep a close eye on it and see how it goes for a little bit. If it can hatch itself, that'll be the best thing.